Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It is Good Tuesday News Day, which means we're covering all the good news that's been happening this last week, or whatever we found that we think is positive news for the world. This is Before Coffee, the comprehensive news of planet Earth, where me and my dad discover what news stories are going on the press 10 to 15 minutes right before the show without any caffeine in our bodies. So let's get this started with some headlines. Today on Before Coffee, LeBron proud to be Team USA flag bearer, and Target in Lille. Basketball players earn respect.
Scientists discover game-changing method to recycle solar panels. And 85% of new electricity last year came from renewables.
In the Audio Museum in Lelystad, the tape recorders and cassette decks are in great demand.
A massive helium reservoir is discovered in Minnesota, and we will talk about the female genitalia mutilation being banned in Gambia.
Brazilian artist swaps historical coin in British Museum for a fake.
Those stories and more, which is National Vanilla Ice Cream Day. Not vanilla ice, vanilla ice cream. July 23rd, 2024 on Before Coffee.
Oh, baby, we've got a lot of news for sports today. Well, I say a lot. It's just one article, but also this small little paragraph, I could say, a little update, news update about LeBron, who is proud to be LeBron James, the NBA's all-time leading point scorer, will be the male flag bearer for Team USA. James, 39, was picked up by his fellow US Olympians for Friday's, which was the 19th of July, ceremony on the river Seine. The female flag bearer will be announced today, July 23rd. It's an incredible honor to represent the United States on this global stage, especially in a moment that can bring the whole world together, James said. For a kid from Akron, responsibility means everything to not only myself, but to my family and all the kids in my hometown, and so many people across the country with big aspirations. Sports have the power to bring us all together, and I'm proud to be part of this important moment. That was from Agency France Presse. Into the big story, though, which we'll also be talking about LeBron, because basketball, how can you not talk about him when you're talking about basketball in Germany? This is before the Olympics in Paris. This is from Heat Online, but it's came from the German press agency EPA Sport. LeBron James stood in the catacombs, completely sweaty and exhausted, as he raved about the world champions after the basketball spectacle. We knew that there would be a very tough test for us. Germany has been together in this lineup for 3 years. We all saw what they can do at the World Cup, said 39-year-old superstar who saved the USA from another defeat against Germany in London with a show of strength. We love this kind of competition. Immediately before the start of the Olympic Games, the 88-92 result after a thrilling match was more of a boost. The duel between the equals was noticeably reminiscent of Abu Dhabi last year, when Germany also narrowly lost the World Cup dress rehearsal against the US star team 3 weeks later. Gordon Herbert's team was world champions. We played well, and then someone called LeBron James scored a few points at the end, the national coach casually described. Some dude, everyone, God damn it, we almost won against the US. If only LeBron wasn't on the team. I mean, there has been an argument for a lot of people that the U.S. basketball team shouldn't be using professional sports people, because the idea of the Olympics is just to get who's ever good at the sport on there. So they shouldn't have to be professionally paid NBA stars. And some even say they should be banned because they're professionally paid NBA stars and they have all that money behind them. Like, it ruins the quote-unquote even ground, right? If you have a bunch of billionaires who can just
That's always
soar
been
above
absurd.
you.
That's always been absurd.
Yeah.
Back when the
been an
Russians
argument
would
from a lot of
put professionals. Yep.
When Germany kicks off on Saturday, which, let me look at my dates here, the 27th of July at 1 p.m., In Lille against outsider Japan, another medal is within reach. Captain Dennis Schroeder of the young star Franz Wagner led the team as usual, and the role players around 3 points specialist Andreas Obst and Moritz Wagner have also got into shape in time. Taking a lot of good things with us from this game. We still have more in the tank, said Obst. Scored 5 3-pointers and like in the World Cup semifinal last year, thrilled the US basketball players. In Lille, where the preliminary round will take place, and then in Paris, the short era of head coach Herbert, who's leaving the German Basketball Association, DBB, after the Olympics will also end. After the European Championship bronze and the Golden World Cup coup, a third medal in 3 years is to follow, but will probably be even harder than in the past. The USA not only has US flag bearer James, Stephen Curry and Anthony Edwards as superstars, but also Kevin Durant, who did not play in London due to a calf injury. The squad is not only much more famous, but also stronger. France with super talent Victor Wembanyama and Greece with Giannis Antetokounmpo. World Cup runner-up Serbia with Nikola Jokic. And Canada's NBA's ensembles are also ripe for an Olympic medal. Every game will be extremely difficult. Not just looking forward to it, it will be the cool competition. I'm really looking forward to it, said Franz Wagner. However, progressing in the group with Japan, Brazil, and France is a must. From the quarterfinals onward, anything is possible thanks to a complicated calculation and drawing system, including a quick reunion with the US and James, saved his team from 2 defeats in London. The 101 against 100 against South Sudan was even closer. Wow! They almost got kicked out, man. South Sudan, 1 point off. They must have got a free throw at the end or something. That's crazy. Or a layup. Wow. Right at the end. We won!
I don't know. Maybe you got highlights?
Yeah. Maybe there's some highlights somewhere. The role of the Germans as world champions will also change. We now have a target on our backs. We are now the hunted. It won't be easy, but we definitely have the guilty to be able to decide for ourselves, Oak once said of the new situation. Strong field, well-known opponents in the knockout round, Coach Herbert didn't care about any of that at first. When asked in London, he didn't even want to say anything about Germany's second opponent, Brazil. Our focus is 100% on Japan, said the 65-year-old Canadian. It is still unclear whether Germany will attend the opening ceremony in Paris the day before the first match in Lille. We all see it very, very similarly. That is part of what makes it special. We still have to decide and discuss it, since Franz Wagner on pro-sided. The decision could also depend on whether Captain Schroeder is appointed flag bearer or not. He is one of 3 candidates, along with tennis star Alexander Zverev and sports shooter Christian Fritz. The decision will be announced on Thursday. Is the 25th of July. Well, they're really deciding their flag bearers just like weeks before the beginning of the Olympics. I feel like you should have already known like months ago when they announced it. I guess they're like, oh, no, well, not sure.
Well, they got to make the team first.
Yeah. Well, it's not just that. It's just they're asking any random sports star. So if you qualify to go to the Olympics, they say, hey, you go carry the flag. So maybe that's what they're waiting for. Like if people actually qualify to go to the Olympics, because I think you need to technically win championships at the national level to win qualified for being on a.
Every team's got different qualification standards. You don't even have to live in a lot of these countries to go represent. You could just your parents could have been immigrants.
Yeah.
So there's no countries hard and fast rules. There's only drug testing.
The US is headed
I
to
could
the
go and
Olympics.
represent Canada, for instance.
Yeah, sure.
I could. I mean, I think probably not. But if they had a sport where they're really not that good at, and they're good athletes in American, but their grandparents are born in Canada.
The U.S. is heading to the Olympics with a flawless preparation record of 5-0 wins. In London, in particular, the team with 12 NBA stars was put to much greater test than expected. We need these tests. I'm glad we managed it again, said James. Curry added, we've all had all the experience. Now it's about showing the big performance on the big stage. I think we're ready. So there you go. That's the news from basketball, the Olympics basketball team from the U.S. and also the German team who is ready to take on, and they're not scared of having a target on their back.
Well, USA usually wins it, and when they did finally lose, they said, "Hey, we're tired of losing." Started losing. They started putting the NBA players in there. So even in they had the 2020 Olympics in 21. But even in the 21 Olympics in Tokyo, the USA won the gold, even though 3 of the players finished playing in the NBA championship. 3 of the players finished playing the NBA championship, flew to Japan, and played in the Olympics. They had to be totally exhausted.
They rested on the plane, basically.
But they still won the gold medal. So, yeah. They had 2 members of the Milwaukee Bucks and 1 member of the Phoenix Suns. Because of the pandemic, the NBA championship went all the way until late July that year. So, USA is probably going to win that. Wouldn't be an upset if they lost, though, because most of the best players in the NBA nowadays are coming from Europe or Africa or elsewhere.
Yeah. Greece.
All right, so, yeah. So we're going to go on to scientists discovered a game-changing method to recycle solar panels using less energy. This is from the Cool Down story from MSN, story by Rick Kasmer. It must be published in several sites, but MSN came up with it here, and I don't have a reading pane, so there you go, Microsoft, making it hard for everybody to read things by putting a bunch of ads in the middle of the story. But, well, it's a 3-minute read. Let's get through it. A 5.2 million solar panel farm recently turned on in China highlights the question of what will happen to the loads of valuable metals and electronic waste when the sun catchers go out of service decades from now. Some experts think the deluge of old panels would create a burgeoning recycling market worth $620 million by 2033, according to the Dimension market research report via Yahoo Finance. Maybe I should be reading this on Yahoo Finance. To that end, researchers from China's Wuhan and Northeastern universities have developed a more environmentally friendly way to repurpose valuable panel components, including silicon and silver. They are harder to gather than the metal frame and glass surfaces that also form the systems per interesting engineering. The technique uses less power and is reported to be highly effective. If the process can be scaled, it could prevent renewable sector waste from hitting trash heaps. CNBC reported last year that around 90% of old and broken solar panels end up in landfills because recycling is expensive. Now that's just fucking sad. The breakthrough is the simplest salt etching approach to recycle solar panels without using toxic material acids, the research team wrote in an abstract published by Nature. A lot of sources here. It starts with a highly reactive molten mixture of salt and potassium hydroxide at 392 degrees Fahrenheit. The panel components are dipped in the mixture for 2 seconds and then again for 2 minutes. The short exposure allows layers of material to separate. The short exposure allows layers of material to separate while remaining largely intact. The heat breaks down some materials while sodium and potassium hydroxide works on others. Silicon is etched away and silver wiring separates and floats in the water. A filter catches 99% of the precious metal with some other techniques, including electroplating. Lead, tin, copper, and aluminum can be removed and recovered as well. Water is added to stop the etching reaction. The solution can be rushed and leaves a non-toxic byproduct, according to IE. Another source. Additionally, recycling about 2.2 pounds of panels with this method prevents nearly 31 pounds of planet-warming air pollution and reduces power usage factor by a factor of 220, according to the Pelagia. Some person that's not named in this article. Pelagia. Is that a person I named? I don't think. Oh yeah, Amaya Pelagia. Yeah. They spelt it different. Oh yeah. Okay. Data collector Statista reports that the solar energy generated 5.5% of the world's electricity last year, with more innovations and large farms being regularly announced. The tech could make home systems more affordable and expand community solar program accessibility. The latter can save you an average $150 a year without installing equipment at home. What's more, new operations like Solar Cycle in Georgia, I don't know if that's Soviet Georgia or it's United States Georgia, they're not specific, are already in development to ensure valuable minerals from old panels can be reused. New solvents, baths, and other methods being invented can help expand cleaner solar power, limiting heat-trapping pollution from getting into the atmosphere via the burning of oil, gasoline, and natural gas that's extracted from fossilized plant waste. As our planet warms, experts are finding that the high heat is negatively impacting even children's academic performance. Recycling, smart technology, and renewable energy are ways to facilitate cooling. This study presents a valuable approach for sustainable management of end-of-life solar panels, paving the way for a circular economy, the Chinese research team wrote in Nature. So there you are, China getting a way to recycle solar panels and making solar panels more recyclable, which should have probably been the goal from the start if you're trying to clean up the environment. Also, in environmental news, 85% of new electricity built in 2023 came from the renewables. This is from canarymedia.com. A whopping 473 gigawatts of clean energy capacity was installed last year, yet another indicator of a rapid rise of solar and wind power. Renewable energy still supplies less of the world's electricity than fossil fuels do, but it's being built at a rate that far outpaces the construction of non-renewable forms of energy. Last year, renewables accounted for nearly 86% of new electricity worldwide, according to the new data from the International Renewable Energy Agency. Electricity supplied by renewables like hydropower, solar, and wind has increased gradually over the past few decades, but rapidly in recent years. A whopping 473 gigabytes of renewable capacity was installed last year, up from 308 gigawatts the year before, and nearly double that amount in 2021. Since 2010, most of the capacity growth has come from the build-out of wind and solar power, the latter in particular. Nearly 346 gigawatts of solar capacity was installed last year alone, according to accounting for about 63% of the capacity added in 23. Because so many renewable energy facilities were built last year, far more than any other year, clean energy now makes up around 43% of the global electricity capacity. In terms of generation, the actual power produced by energy sources, renewables were responsible for 30% of the electricity production last year. Along with the rise of renewable sources, has come a slowdown in the construction of non-renewable power plants, as well as a move to decommission more fossil fuel facilities. In the U.S., for example, coal and natural gas plants accounted for 98% of the energy capacity retirements in 2023, per the Energy Information Administration. Still, clean electricity sources are not on track to reach the goal set out at COP28 to triple renewable capacity globally by 2030. Renewable capacity needs to grow by 16.1% every year in order to hit the climate target. Last year, it rose by 14%. So, a little bit slow on that front, but there's still time to catch up. In the U.S., tax incentives from the Inflation Reduction Act are already boosting renewable production, and trends point to renewable prices continuing to fall. Good news that the world is going to achieve a blistering pace for renewable construction necessary to slash emissions from the power grid. There's your story. Back to you.
Great news for the environment. I always love to hear that. Because we only got one of them. For our next story, let's talk about a small museum in Lelystad, which is in Flevoland province of the Netherlands. The north, it's middle north, I would say. We're talking about it as part of a series NRC does in showing 12 small museums unknown to most people. So this is part 4 of their series about the Retro Audio Museum in Lelystad by Casper van der Veen on NCR. Oh, sorry, NRC. I have dyslexia. Alex Mironov made the biggest mistake of his life in the mid-90s. The CD seemed herald the definitive digital music era and some older media. That's why he gave his entire cassette tape collection to a friend. Oh, they're still being played somewhere. It's hard to imagine that someone like Mironov would make such an error of judgment. On July 22nd morning, he receives his Retro Audio Museum he goes to his Retro Audio Museum located on an industrial estate in Lelystad, opposite a car body shop. The private museum, which opened in 2022, houses more than 850 old audio devices. The first room, entire walls are filled with old cassette decks from Philips, Akai, JVC, and Hitachi. The large reels of tape recorders protrude above the other devices. In another room, Walkmans lie on a table, further away in a row of boomboxes. The youngest item in the collection dates from 1992 and 1993, says Mironov. In the 2 years that his museum has been open, he has seen his collection double. He receives about 100 devices as donation. Collecting old record players and cassette decks began years before. I had a private collection of over 100 devices in my 2-room apartment, Mironov recalls with a laugh. They were piled up everywhere, and I lived in the kitchen. He wanted to open a museum in early 2020, but the corona pandemic put those plans on hold. However, the period also offered opportunities. Lots of people cleared out their houses to put their stuff on marketplaats. That's kind of like Dutch eBay. He says, "It was a gold mine. I sometimes came across tape recorders for 20 euros. I drove through every country every day and spent all my savings, to buy every single thing he found on marketplaats." In 2022, the museum was finally able to open at what Mironov calls a temporary location. He hopes to be able to move the center of Lelystad in a few years. "This is my pride and joy," says Mironov, standing next to a Revox G36, a 1960s tape recorder that uses all tube technology. "It was so expensive back then, only professional studios could afford it," says Mironov as Demi Rousseau's music starts up and comes to life. Mironov walks through all the rooms of the small but well-stocked museum. He shows several tape recorders until they arrive at the Nagra 3 from the late 1950s, the rarest object in the collection, much used in Hollywood. Finally, Mironov demonstrates a 3-in-1 device, a block that houses a color television, a radio, and a cassette recorder. Wow. So you can watch football, listen to the radio, and dance with your girlfriend at the campsite. The Retro Audio Museum can only be visited 365 days a year, by appointment only. Admission is free, although a donation is appreciated. "This is a church for me, and you don't sell tickets for the church." Mironov runs the museum alone to earn his living. He works part-time as a reach truck driver. Mironov was born in 1966 in Novosibirsk, then part of the Soviet Union. Okay, but what is it now? Poland? Ukraine? Where is it located in? Oh, no, it's in Russia, in the Siberian district of Russia. Thank you. What was then the Soviet Union? Yeah, there's a lot of things that were then the Soviet Union, a whole other bunch of countries. My father was able to travel abroad as a scientist and brought this device with him in the 1971. It was a portable cassette recorder from Panasonic. For me, it was as if I had brought another spaceship. In the following years, he had discovered the Beatles, ABBA, Boney M, and Pink Floyd through smuggled LPs and copied cassette tapes from the West. Music from another world. In the 90s, he left his homeland and ended up in Newcastle, England, via Cyprus, Germany, and France, where he lived for 20 years and became naturalized as a British person. But in 2017, he came to the Netherlands forever. Me too! We have so much in common. I should go to this guy's museum. I like old radios and stuff because I studied it in school when I went to broadcasting management for a year. Studied all the old technology. Before he opened the museum, Mironov expected the majority of his
tubes.
guests to be people in their 50s, 60s and older. That was true, but to his surprise, many young people also come to see his collection. Damn hipsters, keeping the museum open. An American will soon come to the Netherlands, especially to visit the museum, said Mironov. I can hardly describe how proud that makes me. Hasn't playing LPs and cassettes been making a comeback for years? Comeback? It's already back, Mironov states. All sell figures are rising, he says. He doesn't want to push anyone to listen to analog equipment. I just want to show them there's another world and that it's great, he says, gesticulating wildly. Why do people buy old records these days? Why do bands make new LPs? Mironov has the answers. It's the nature of music, that hissing or crackle and that sound is natural. Just like you can always hear the wind outside. But the digital music, that's just ones and zeros, often in poor quality too. Points to the tape recorder. Yeah, even CDs are better than listening to something on your computer. At least that's what audiophiles say, right? A CD is better than, even though that's still digital, it's still better than actually streaming music for your YouTube Music or Spotify or SoundCloud. Mm-hmm. But digital music, that's just ones and zeros. He points to the tape recorder. When I play the Beatles on it, I feel the tape. I smell the tape. I put the tape in and see it turn. That's almost something religious. Dad, and the music is mine, right? On Spotify, you only rent songs. They're stored elsewhere. Yet a well-known family who never did anything with analog music listened attentively to an LP. Now they have a whole record collection. I wouldn't mind having a couple tapes. So I'd have to figure out how to basically get digital onto a tape. I think I probably need a specific device for that, which is probably made in China or Taiwan, because nobody's doing that.
Microphone?
No, that's not a microphone. There's way too much noise.
That'll do it. Well, it's
my
analog.
Phone, yeah.
It's analog.
Play it on my phone and record it with my microphone. I'm sure there's a way to actually transfer digital.
As long as you get good acoustics.
There's a way to transfer tape to digital, so it should be reversible, I would argue. He wants everyone to have a passion project like his. Why else do we live? The museum is my life. I can tell from the reactions that I'm doing the right thing and I'm on the right track. So, if you ever want to see a very, very cool museum about all the old tech we used to listen to audio on, and even a TV, radio, 3-in-1 package, go ahead and check out the Retro Audio Museum in Lelystad, which I think it's probably still there for the time being. Lelystad is in Flevoland, which is a newer province. It's actually famously the province that didn't exist until they emptied the IJssel of water, and then they just were like, hey, some new land. So go check that out.
Yeah.
I think Lelystad is the capital of Flevoland, so yeah, it should be easy to get there on train from Amsterdam, because it's pretty close to Amsterdam, actually, Flevoland. Check it out, and maybe I'll do some more stories on this really cool kind of small museum series that the NRC. Because I think that stuff's really cool. Small places you don't know about.
Okay, is that it?
Yep, that's it.
Are you throwing it over to me?
You're on.
You're on. Cue.
You're on.
Okay. Did you know what is? Do you know the most abundant element in the entire universe? Do you know what that is?
Hydrogen? Oh no.
Yes. And what is second? What is the second most abundant element in the universe?
Helium? Carbon.
What? Nope, it's helium.
I said helium. I said helium, but you didn't hear. Okay, I said helium. No,
I didn't hear you. That's because
it's okay.
Your microphone. You're either too far away from your microphone or something, but I can barely hear you read your stories. So I have to be completely quiet to hear you. So when you're talking, it's like, did she say something? Okay, well, this is from the Good News Network. This is from Andy Corbally. Massive helium reservoir in Minnesota is mind-boggling, valuable for rocketry and medicine. An American company is in possession of world-class and mind-boggling deposit of subterranean helium gas, which has them excited for way more than just the potential to sell it to party supply stores. Despite being the second most abundant gaseous element in the universe, helium is rare on Earth. And in Babbitt, Minnesota, a reservoir has been identified that is being described as one of the most lucrative ever found. Helium is an excellent coolant, and in energy and technology, the gas is used to cool rockets, nuclear power reactors, and medical imaging technology like MRI machines. Apart from occasional deposits found underground, the only way to produce it, according to Shiran Genzi, writing for the Board Bat, is through nuclear fusion or skimming it off decaying radioactive material like uranium and thorium. Pulsar Helium, the exploration company that is currently working the Babbitt Reservoir, recently obtained results of a survey showing that it's currently larger than earlier estimates gathered in March. It shows that a maximum concentration of 14.5% of the total underground area, which when considering how helium reservoir can be declared economically significant with as little as 0.3% concentration. One understands why it was described in March as mind-boggling even when it was believed to be less dense. Furthermore, helium gas is coming from the surface at a rate of 820,000 cubic feet or 23,250 cubic meters per day, meaning there's no need for fracking. So it's just coming to the surface, folks.
Wow.
These results are considered world-class. Pulsar Helium representatives wrote in a statement shared with Live Science in early July. What's that?
World-class. It's considered world-class.
That's right. And we don't need your stinking fracking. The results confirm that previously discovered pocket of helium between 1,750 and 2,200 feet below the surface, reports Pulsar Helium President and CEO Thomas Abraham James said in a statement. Already across the world, developing countries are experiencing shortages of helium. Babbitt Reservoir could go a long way to addressing the United States. The United States is the world's leading producer of helium. And other good news, which is built on really, really horrifically bad news.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about female genitalia mutilation.
How bad it is.
This is a story from positive.news. Hannah Partos. All right. Well, just a girl in her native Guinea, Hawa Ba, who now lives in Leeds, which is in England, helps provide a lifeline to other survivors of genital mutilation. Hawa Ba was just 8 years old when she was taken from the forest by her father's second wife and cut by a woman from the neighborhood in Guinea. Women are doing this to women. Shame on you. I realized something was missing from me after that. I wasn't complete anymore, she says. Age 13, Ba was forced to marry a man 37 years her senior who already had 3 wives. In our culture, you're not allowed to say no to your parents. You have to listen and obey, otherwise you get beaten. Her husband was sexually and physically abusive, and Ba lost count of her attempts to flee him. He and her father paid the police to find her. And then they beat her. Age 17, she finally managed to escape with help of a friend, an older aunt figure. An aid agency flew her to the UK. I'd never heard of the UK before. I didn't speak English. I didn't know where I was going. I was thinking they had sold me into slavery. As she waited for the Home Office to process her asylum claim and begin adjusting to her new life, Ba endured the long-term consequences of female genital mutilation. She experienced itching and had difficulty passing urine, but for years she was afraid to seek medical care. It's hard to talk about it because of brainwashing. You go through FGM, you're told it's confidential. If you disclose it, you will die, she says. Now, 32, Ba helps fellow survivors at the Blossom Clinic in Leeds. The clinic was originally launched by the NHS as part of a national pilot scheme in 2019, providing medical and physiological support to women and some trans men who experience FGM. Specialist midwives make assessments and perform surgical procedures if necessary. Ba is the clinic's advocate. Her role is to connect with survivors within the Leeds community and give them confidence to access the clinic services. She holds their hands during surgical procedures, refers them for counseling and translates English for those who need it, as well as her mother tongue, Fula. She speaks French and Pidgin English. For years, Ba was afraid to seek medical care. Now she helps others seek her support. One of her biggest challenges is getting traumatized women through the door in the first place, Ba says, but they see me and they know I'm one of them. I'm a survivor too.
Yeah.
Her candor about her own experience helped them overcome their fears. I'm choosing to come forward, talk about it. I'm not dead. Anyone can talk about it and they won't die. Ba finds a woman via word of mouth. Ba finds women word of mouth in her own community links, as well as through refugee support organizations. She gives talks and distributes multilingual flyers, which she encourages GP practices to post their loos. Post in their loos, which in England means bathrooms. Sorry. The Blossom Clinic will remain permanently following this. The Blossom Clinic will remain permanently following the success of its pilot scheme, and Ba is optimistic for the future. Her work has helped her personally too. She says, supporting the other women keeps me going. It makes me stronger. I don't let anyone pull me down. I don't let my past pull me down. In her spare time, she finds joy in seeing friends and in cooking. Her specialties including a rice dish, Reservoir, fish, peanut soup, and cassava leaves. People love my food, she says. She hopes to remarry one day and have children. Ba will continue speaking out until there is zero FGM in the world. It will claim that FGM is to keep a woman clean, but it's all about empowering men. I don't want any woman or person to go through what I've been through. If we want to end this, we can't keep silence. Kind of mentioned that ban, but this is a continuation of the story. Politicians in Gambia have voted to uphold the country's ban on female genitalia mutilation, heading off an attempt by hardliners to repeal the law. The ban was introduced to the West African nation in 2015 amid opposition from some Muslim clerics, according to UNICEF, a humanitarian aid organization. Gambia has the 9th highest rate of FGM in the world. Although we regret attempts by campaigners to try and overturn the ban, we are pleased to see politicians live up their commitments to end FGM, said Binta Shize, a women's rights manager at the charity Action Aid Gambia. Since FGM was banned nearly a decade ago, we have made encouraging strides in ending the practice, but it has not been enough. After voting to uphold the ban, we encourage politicians to redouble their efforts in ending this form of violence against women and girls forever. And there's your story.
Yeah, forever.
Good news. We're coming out of the Dark Ages, one Neanderthal moron at a time.
God, I think even as we went over a couple weeks ago, I think even Neanderthals had a little more compassion to these people because they took care of their disabled. Supposedly there's evidence they took care of their disabled, sick children still. So the people who
not to slander Neanderthals. The
people who do freaking mutilation on children are worse than anybody out there. So. Leave people's bodies alone. It's none of your fucking business what is going on over here. Go away. You know? The only reason an adult should ever be paying attention to genitals is if you have a diaper rash, and that's it. That's it. Okay. Now, into our culture story, we're going to talk about some funny at the British Museum, because I love making fun of the British Museum. This is from Nadia Komami on The Guardian. Ile Sarutuzi put original coin in the museum donation box as part of a project about a number of foreign objects in his collection. An artist took a historical coin from his display case in the British Museum and deposited it in a donation box in the museum's lobby as part of an art project, less than a year after hundreds of items were found to have gone missing from the museum. Maybe you should check the donation box. Last month, the Brazilian conceptual artist Ile Sartuzi swapped an English Civil War coin for a fake as part of a project highlighting the large number of foreign objects in the British Museum. Sartuzi said that the idea came to him when he saw a museum volunteer handing visitors coins to handle. He asked for the 17th century silver coin because it is one of the few British things in the British Museum, and created a diversion while he swapped it for a fake. He then deposited the original coin in the museum's collection box on the way out. Sartuzzi filmed the entire act and recounted it on a video made for his master's degree at Goldsmiths University, London. He said he had planned the stunt for more than a year. The video, filmed by 3 friends of the artist, showed him being caught by a volunteer guide before successfully attempting the theft again the next day, the art newspaper reported. Sartuzzi said he shaved his beard to avoid being recognized by museum security and was able to swap the coins with the aid of a momentary diversion. Hey, look away here. I gave you some 20 pounds and you look away. The British Museum said it would inform police about the incident. This is a disappointing and derivative act that abuses a volunteer-led service aimed at giving visitors the opportunity to handle real items and engage with history, a museum spokesperson said. Services like this rely on basic level of human decency and trust. Well, are you going to bring some human decency and trust? Or is it just a one-sided thing? Because, let's be honest here, the British Museum is totally just stealing people's stuff and not giving it back, so... And it would be a shame to have to review the provision of these services due to actions like this. Sartuzzi said the institutions such as the British Museum and France's Louvre viewed themselves as the holders of the treasures of humanity, adding, the problem is that these institutions are the basis of imperialist cultures that looted a lot of these objects from the global south and world. Famously, France and Britain did that, yes. The coin in question is from 1645 and was minted in Newark, England. It is not registered in the museum's database, but it is part of its handling collection, which was founded in 2000 to offer visitors a chance to touch historical objects under the supervision of volunteers. The artist and his lawyer claim his actions therefore do not violate museum policy prohibiting the handling of objects or removal from the premises, nor do they fall under the Theft Act of 1968. The incident comes almost a year, because he didn't steal it, he just put it in the donation box. It never left the museum, realistically. The incident comes almost a year after the theft of hundreds of objects, including coins and jewelry, from the British Museum's collection was revealed, which led to a resignation of its director, Hartwig Fischer, who was in no way implicated in the theft. The museum also dismissed an employee and ordered a review of its security. Sartuzzi said the scandal was unfortunate coincidence. He said the British Museum was a foundational part of colonial imperialist system and noted that the coin he swapped was the only one of the British origin on the display for handling at the time. All the rest of them were from Japan and China and of course Greece. They have a lot of Greek stuff. And probably some things from Iraq and Mesopotamia and all that kind of stuff. The British Museum has been under scrutiny over the way it's acquired some of its artifacts. Or I would even argue how it doesn't even know where its artifacts came from. Oh, these were donated by an anonymous person. Okay, who is that anonymous person? Where did it come from? How did it get here? But we have it now. It's ours. Okay.
It materialized.
Yeah. These include the Parthenon marbles and bronzes looted by British troops in 1897 from the former West African kingdom of Benin. And also plenty of other things from Greece as well. There's just so many things that have been looted by British troops, right? Not people who are actually trained, not what is the word? It starts with an A. I can't think of the word right now. But anthropologists or whatever, nobody who's not a scientist, not somebody studied, just I'm a random guy and I'm gonna steal this tile. No one's gonna miss it. Excuse you, why are you stealing tiles? Put that back, sir. But that's my cultural story about jokes on you, British Museum. Freaking fools, and your story.
Take that, Indiana Jones, and your tomb looting. So Indiana Jones is a terrorist, wasn't he? He's looting all these national.
I'm pretty sure he was, stealing stuff for museums.
Right. But he's a hero in movies, right? Well, we won't pick an Indiana Jones because he's a fictional character. But we will talk about this day in history. 1844, on July 23rd, Attilio and Emilio Bandiera were executed along with 9 others following a failed revolt against Austrian rule in Italy. Bet you didn't know that Austrians were ruling Italy back in 1844. Maybe you do. But in 1885, Ulysses S. Grant passed away at the age of 83. U.S. General Ulysses S. Grant, who commanded the Union armies to victory in the American Civil War and later served 2 terms as President of the United States, died at the age of 63. Dude, look at 63 years. That's very young. I'm almost that old. 1903, Ford Motor Company sold its first automobile, a Ford Model A. 5 years later, it introduced the hugely influential Model T. On 1945, on this day, Marshal Philippe Pétain of France went on trial for treason during World War II. He ultimately was given a life sentence of solitary confinement. Jeez, that's gotta suck. 1967, a riot began in Detroit as African Americans in the city's police department were involved in a violent confrontation following a police raid on a illegal drinking club. The unrest, which lasted 5 days, is considered one of the catalysts of the militant Black Power movement. In 1970, Sudan...
Leave my black speakeasy alone.
In 1970, Sultan Sayyad ibn Taymur of Oman was overthrown by his son, Qaboos bin Sayyad, in a palace coup. This was in Oman, the Middle Eastern country of Oman. 1997, Slobodan Milosevic became the president of the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia, which at that time comprised Serbia and Montenegro. After serving as president of Serbia from 1989, he was later charged with genocide, crimes against humanity, and war crimes relating to the Kosovo conflict. He died during his trial in 2006. In 1999, with the launch of NASA's orbiter Columbia, U.S. astronaut Eileen Collins became the first woman to command a space shuttle mission. 2011, British singer-songwriter Amy Winehouse, who won 5 Grammy Awards for her Motown-inspired Back to Black, but struggled with substance abuse problems, died from alcohol poisoning at the age of 27. So, on this day in 2011, Amy Winehouse joined the 27 Club, the one you don't want to be in. In 2012, U.S. astronaut Sally Ride, the first American woman to travel in space, died at the age of 61. Wow, even younger than Ulysses S. Grant. Well, at least she got famous. I don't know what else to say about that. Rest in peace, Sally Ride. Had a great name, Sally Ride. 1952, in our featured event, Egyptian monarchy toppled by a coup. On this day in 1952, the Free Officers, a nationalistic military group led by Colonel Gamal Abdel Nasser, engineered a coup that overthrew King Farouk I of Egypt, ending the monarchy and bringing Nasser power. Our feature biography is Haile Selassie, the Emperor of Ethiopia. He was born July 23rd, 1892, near Harar, Ethiopia. Died August 27th, 1975, in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. And Haile Selassie, here's a quiz for you. What religion is based off of Haile Selassie? What religion would that be? You know?
No.
Rastafarianism.
Oh!
Yes, Rastafarianism actually
That's
sees
considered a
Haile
religion.
Selassie as a disciple, as a human god on earth when he was still alive.
Cool. That's something, I guess.
My buddy Bob Marley back here was a Rastafarian.
Your buddy.
1892. We already other birthdays today. Late great actor Philip. Let's try that again. Late great actor Philip Seymour Hoffman was born in 1967, so it's his birthday today. 1971 is the birthday of Alison Krauss, American musician, and 1973 is the birthday of Monica Lewinsky, American activist, public speaker, and writer. That's not how she got famous, though. 1989, Daniel Radcliffe's birthday. So happy birthday to Harry Potter. Harry Potter is now 35. Do you feel old now that Harry Potter is 35? I do. Holy crap. What other day is it today besides Harry Potter's birthday? National Vanilla Ice Cream Day? It's Gorgeous Grandma Day, which, I guess. I mean, the picture of this lady's wearing a lot of stuff. I don't know if it's making her gorgeous. It makes her look like like she's bought out a yard sale. I don't know. But you can't see her face because you can tell if she's gorgeous. She's just overdoing it. So Gorgeous Grandma Day, I guess, is the day to take Grandma out to the beauty parlor. I don't know, buy her some clothes. Make her feel good about herself. Because, Grandmas have been going through a lot of crap. And it's also National Lemon Day. So not the car that you bought that won't start half the time. National Lemon, the fruit. So go squeeze a lemon, have some ice cream. Those are your days for today. July 23rd, 2024, and before vanilla ice cream.
Vanilla ice cream. Hell yeah. This has been Allison here from the Netherlands, where it's way cooler today, so I hope you're also keeping cool. Tomorrow will be Wacky and Weird Wednesday, so don't forget to subscribe so you can get all the wacky and weird news that's been happening, and turn on those notifications so you can get notified when we go live or post a video. We will see you tomorrow. Take care out there, and let's go ahead and see our mic drop moment. It's a long one, so get comfy. Everyone watch the whole thing.
So you got the riot act in her hand there.
Repeatedly and blatantly violated the oath you took prior to
turn that up.
Yeah, me too.
Remind you of what that oath is. Quote, I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and that I will
It's only 3 minutes.
the duties of Chippewa
Actually, it's 3:25.
to the best of my ability. Unquote. Let me be clear here. The U.S. Constitution is the supreme law of the land. This means when state constitutions, state laws, or even the rules of your board members make up conflict with the federal constitution, they have no force. This means you violate your oath when you restrict our speech or demand police remove public commenters from these meetings simply because you don't like what those people say. You police officers took an oath to uphold the Constitution. So when you follow unconstitutional orders issued by the board,
I just love watching people squirm when they're being told that they're not doing their jobs.
Censoring speech are the epitome of fascism, which is defined as the forcible suppression of opposition.
But school boards have always been fascist. Ever since I was in school, at least. Probably before, when you were in school, they're fascist.
First they fascinate the fools, then they muzzle the intelligent. Unquote. And that's what we see here. This board trying to...
It sounds familiar, doesn't it? Fascinate the fools, muzzle the intelligent.
Other side. You're also in blatant violation of a
MAGA.
law signed by Governor Whitmer in October 2022, which requires every school district post Article 8, Section 1 of the Michigan Constitution, an MCL verse from the Constitution states, quote, religion, morality, and knowledge, being necessary to good government and the happiness of mankind, schools and the means of education shall forever be encouraged, unquote. MCL 380.10 states, quote, it is the natural fundamental right of parents and legal guardians to determine and direct the care, teaching, and education of their children, unquote. So, why was this removed from the room?
What is it?
It's extremely...
Which she was just reading.
The charter. Yeah.
Superintendent Roberts, you're still violating the Supreme Court rule stating officials can't ban the public from their social media accounts. There's a lot of laws being violated by this board. Why are parents allowing criminals to direct the education of their children? Kids deserve better than this. Parents, you better do your
Calling
homework
them
on candidates
criminals.
for the next election. Your kids' futures depend on ensuring the Constitution is upheld and fascism is defeated. Thank you.
Yeah, applause for that.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.